Hello everyone, and I'm Dr. Rashmi Sarkar, and I'm a director professor or a senior professor in the Department of Dermatology, Lady Hardinge Medical College and Associated Hospitals in New Delhi, India. Well, today I'm going to be talking about atopic dermatitis, a disease that occurs both in children as well as adults, because this is an area of my interest as well as my research and publications. And I'm sure that this is something that every person wants to hear about. Now, atopic dermatitis is actually a common chronic inflammatory disease of the skin. What you get is tiny little bumps on the skin, and along with that, there is oozing of fluid. That is why it is called an eczema or a dermatitis. Now, the prevalence of atopic dermatitis is quite a bit worldwide. So in India, it is below 5%, roughly about 4.4%. But in the USA, it is about 11.3 to 12.7% in children, whereas it is 6.9 to 7.6% in adults. Well, one thing we have to remember is that the epidermis, which is the outermost layer of the skin, plays a very important part in this disease because in this resides the epidermal barrier, which is both a physical as well as a physiological function. And as long as it is intact, it is less pervasive to the entry of microorganisms, allergens, and toxins inside the skin. So we hear of many proteins of the skin, which are like keratin, filaggrin, transglutaminase, ceramides, and so on. So these are all structural proteins and other components which make up an intact barrier function. So going a little deep in this, what causes these defects to cause atopic dermatitis? Well, first of all, as I said, there could be a skin barrier dysfunction to start with, which can start up the process of atopic dermatitis. This leads to entry of more microorganisms as well as allergens in the skin, leading finally to immune dysregulation. So in other words, this is an outside-in theory of atopic dermatitis. Now, on the other hand, it can all begin with immune dysregulation within the body, and this can then lead to barrier dysfunction in the skin. So this could be an inside-out hypothesis again. Well, whatever it is, one thing is for sure that we need to have an intact epidermal barrier of the skin so that atopic dermatitis does not happen. So first of all, why are these important? These are important because these are used in order to manufacture newer and newer therapies for atopic dermatitis. And it is important to treat atopic dermatitis right in the beginning because we do not want to start the atopic march. And the atopic march comprises of atopic dermatitis, atopic or allergic rhinitis, and finally asthma. This may not occur in everybody, but all the more reason we need to treat it well. Now let's talk a little bit about the prevalence of the disease in children. We must remember that atopic dermatitis can occur to us anytime during our lifetime as an individual. But interestingly, about 60% does occur in children less than 1 year of age. And in 60 to 74%, they usually outgrow the disease by the time they reach the age of 16 years. However, in recent times, what we are seeing is that they do persist quite a bit, even in adults. And this is roughly about 50 to 53%, which is a good percent. And this is very important because in adults, atopic dermatitis will remain either as hand dermatitis or as dermatitis around the nipples or some small dermatitis. This is very important when planning the career of the child and also when the child is entering the workforce as a teenager. So then that brings me to atopic dermatitis in adults. As I said, it is not all that less as we think it is because a good 50% is actually persisting or evolving in adults, and it can even start a little later in adult life, which it can be quite severe. So we have to remember again that when it occurs in adult life, it could actually be having a different phenotype altogether compared with the childhood onset atopic dermatitis. Remember that in atopic dermatitis, there are newer things coming in the pathogenesis. This is also involving the epidermal lipid layer, as well as the neuroimmune interactions, but most importantly, the microbiome of the skin. This simply is a diverse colonies of little bacteria living on the skin. Now, these bacteria live in equilibrium with each other. So as long as there is a diversity of these colonies, our skin remains intact, free from atopic dermatitis. But the moment this diversity is disturbed, we start getting the atopic dermatitis. Well, how do we recognize atopic dermatitis? Let me talk a little bit about the symptoms. So although it may vary from person to person, and in India, fortunately, we have the mild to moderate variety, it can be just very dry skin. There is also a lot of itching. And this itching, as you know, is more at night. Besides this, you also get reddish brown colored patches all over the skin, which could be on the hands, the feet, the trunk, the back of the neck, and so on and so forth. But in children, it is usually confined to the face as well as the head area. As I said in the beginning, these could be small raised bumps with oozing from the lesions. They can just be in the form of thickened, cracked, scaly skin. And finally, it could be raw, sensitive, swollen skin, which is due to scratching. So I think you have a lot of telltale signs for atopic dermatitis. So this again makes all of us think what actually causes the itching and the rash. Now, the exact cause for atopic dermatitis is not really known, but yes, it does occur more in children who have parents with atopic dermatitis or even relatives with atopic dermatitis, or say any history of atopy, which could be atopic dermatitis, allergic rhinitis, or even asthma. Remember that there is a genetic defect, and this is a protein called filaggrin. So a defect in the filaggrin protein can actually help in causing a disease, where the skin is unhealthy and there is an impairment of the epidermal barrier. Once again, those individuals who have a defect in the filaggrin in the form of a mutation, they will have an early onset of the disease. They will also have a more severe disease than their contemporaries, and they're going to have much more allergic symptoms than any other person not having a defect in the filaggrin gene mutation. So it's very important as a healthcare provider and as a doctor to tell the children as well as their parents what are the do's and don'ts so that you do not start the itch cycle. We have to look carefully at the treatment options, but the most important thing to remember is that counseling plays a very important role in atopic dermatitis. We have to spend time with the children as well as their parents. Simple general measures like bathing, cleansing, moisturizing so that the water is retained in the skin. This is very important. Keep the wetness in the skin. Then, of course, topical medications or medications that you have to apply. And finally, if it is still so severe, you have to go in for oral medicines, and these can be in the form of immunosuppressant tablets or injectables. Or nowadays, we have therapies which are specific to the target, and those are agents called biologicals. But anyway, that is much, much later in the treatment. Short of a pill, there are also therapies like phototherapy. So we have to remember all these options. So let me go through the general list, which is important. First of all, bathing. Remember, as a parent, the child should be bathed in lukewarm water, never hot. Avoid the extremes of temperature. The time of the bath should be limited to about 5 minutes, and the child should be always pat dried. Never rub with the towel. We have to remember that the child is not really dirty. So we don't really have to use a harsh cleanser because soaps are alkaline. What we actually need is a non-soap cleanser with a neutral pH as far as possible. Again, in babies with atopic dermatitis, avoid bubble baths. These can be very, very irritating. Once again, once the child has finished the bath and within 5 minutes, it's again very important to apply the medication on the skin. But don't forget one medication, and that is moisturizers. Moisturizers or lubricants, these are important. They are needed to be the last thing to be applied after you finish your bath. And remember that they can be applied for at least twice a day. Regarding the question of what is the most ideal moisturizer, remember that the most ideal moisturizer is the one that you like the best. So you will have to really play around a little with trial and error. It can just be not a very expensive bland moisturizer, which is thick and in an ointment form or a cream, or it can be a more elegant cream, okay, which can be used more during the summer months. So this is something you must ask your dermatologist, and please do ask a properly qualified dermatologist about the treatment. Now, there are many other things that we can do to ease the discomfort. We have to remember, first of all, that moisturization can be done twice or thrice a day. If still the atopic dermatitis is there, use something called the wet wrap therapy under the guidance of your dermatologist. Here you use the moisturizer and then cover it up with wet dressings. The medication is also applied, but wet dressings are used so that the wetness lets the drug stay longer in the skin. Keep the child's fingernails really short, and even in an adult, it helps to keep it really, really short. If the child is still scratching at night, you can use cotton gloves. So this will help in not scratching so much. Remember that the child should avoid extremes of temperature. Sweating is again going to start the cycle of scratching. So maintain the air conditioning in the room, but remember that the temperature and humidity levels both have to be comfortable. So either you could use a humidifier, or if not, just an open basin of water would also help in humidifying and prevent extreme dryness due to air conditioners and blowers. Regarding washing of clothes in such children, use less of laundry detergent. Even if you're doing, try to use one which is a little skin friendly, and also use a good amount of water for rinsing. When you buy new clothes, wash them once or twice to make them softer so that the skin of the child is not irritating. Cut off the tags because the tag can irritate the back of the neck of the child and cause atopic dermatitis. What I'd like to say again is atopic dermatitis is a disease which is prevalent all over the world. It is a global phenomenon, especially now when there is so much globalization around. But we have to remember that with simple counseling and also psychological counseling for that matter, because not only the children, their parents and the caregivers are very disturbed psychologically, because this is a disease which does cause a lot of irritation, loss of sleep of the children and the parents. So you do need a good psychological counseling. So do not hold that back. Once again, we have to understand that the disease leads to a lot of money being spent on these creams. Therefore, simple measures and spending time with the patient is very, very important. Explaining about the disease, that how it will evolve over many years is important. We also need future directions in research for atopic dermatitis. So we need to focus more on the interplay between the gene and the environment, the effects which it has on the pathophysiology of the disease severity, but most important, treatment outcomes. How do we prevent this disease from coming back? Because this is a disease which has remissions, means it will become all right, and relapses throughout your life. So better drugs are needed. And in order to do that, we need better research to understand better. But until that, please do follow the simple do's and don'ts of the disease. Thank you so much. And please keep safe. Stay at home as much as possible. Thank you very much.